It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening, I hope you're doing all right. Today's show, she's being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's Island and Sal's Restaurant to get an authentic Italian meal. And speaking of St. Simon's, don't forget our biggest and bestest Billy C event will be taking place this summer in August. The end of August. I will have the exact dates for you when I come back from our vacation. We are planning an extravaganza, to say the least. It'll be not one, not two, not three, but 4 days worth of activities, all surrounding around the sport of boxing. Some fun, some celebrities, all that stuff. But here's the thing. You got to be on our list. So if you're interested in getting information and coming to our event, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. And you can get a copy of this book right now while you're watching or listening to the show. Just go to barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. If you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. It's all over the place. You're looking to get more than one copy? I'll hook you up. Just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Programming note. Today's our last show. We will not be doing a show. No. I don't mean our last show. I mean our last show before vacation. We will not be doing a live show tomorrow, and we're off all next week. We will be back on February 21st. That will be the day that we begin airing live again. I apologize for that, but a long overdue vacation is needed for both Sal and myself. And speaking of Sal, joining me right now is Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you today, buddy? How you doing?
Ready, willing, and able, huh? I see that. I see that.
I'm right at the helm.
Yeah, I see you there.
Hey, this is only my sixth cup today.
I know you seem a little sluggish, but anyway. Listen,
you don't talk to a fighter about slugging.
Some things I wanted to talk about today. The main one, I got a bunch of emails to read, but Deontay Wilder's at. Oh, he's at it again, Mr. Magoo.
No, come on.
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I know you are, but he's delusional, just like you are, about him possibly beating Anthony Joshua. I'm going to get some quotes to you. This is clearly a guy that either is really stupid or has bought into all the BS that they're whispering in his ear. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for Deontay Wilder, and maybe he should get his head examined. I will talk about that in a second. But first, last night there was some fights, Broadway boxing. You know, I'm always talking about promoters who don't promote, et cetera, et cetera. Lou DiBella is one of these guys that does shows. His name is associated with boxing events, But generally, this guy doesn't do anything for his fighters. Why a young fighter would sign with Lou DiBella? However, his Broadway boxing series is cool. It's one of these throwback types of boxing series that we used to see all the time. He's done very well at it. He's back at B.B. King's Blues Club in New York City. He's been doing this for a while. The reason why I like the Broadway boxing series is because it's throwback. It's a club show. It's in a small venue, and usually there's some entertaining fights. Last night in the main event in a welterweight division, Mikel Lespierre improved to 19-0 with a draw when he beat Noel Murphy, who loses for the first time in his career. He drops to 12-1 in the main event. Both of these guys were from New York, so it was kind of a crosstown rivalry, something that is a backbone of this sport that you used to see all the time. Very rarely do we see it now, but the way the judges scored it, 97-92 was the way one judge had it, and the other two had it 95-94, all three in favor of the winner, Mikel Lespierre. So congratulations to him. Also, a heavyweight prospect, Oxlandir Teslenko improved to 12-0 when he stopped Keenan Hickman in the second round. Hickman drops to 6-3-1. And also Stephen Shaw improved to 10-0 with 6 knockouts when he won a unanimous decision over Joel Claudy, who drops to 7-2-1. That, too, was a heavyweight fight. The way the judges saw that one, 60-54 twice, and one judge had it 59-55 in the Broadway boxing event last night. Sal, that's the reason why I like that is because that series is because it's clearly a throwback, and boxing needs more of these series. So hats off to Lou in that respect. I've been very critical of him in terms of him not actually promoting his fighters. But I love this boxing. I love this Broadway boxing series.
All right. Well, it sounds terrific. And, anytime a grassroots promotion or young nucleus of a promotion starts to grow and gets to popularity and is the throwback, we love that stuff because it's boxing is one of the only sports that has not had to go through many metamorphic changes on some level, but it does need some changes on another. And that's a good case of it when they do the old throwbacks like Lou DiBella's doing.
Well, throwback meaning for me, like having rivalries. In this case, you have one fighter from one part of New York, another one from another part. They tell their friends and family, come and support me, and you have a good old-fashioned stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes rivalries in this day and age turn out to be, gunfights and burning down places and all of that. I mean, we don't need that, but a good rivalry inside the ring is always good for the sport and for the fans. But
absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
All right. Deontay Wilder, he's delusional. This guy is, as far as I'm concerned, he's a fraud. And the reason why I say he's a fraud is because he hasn't beaten anybody, Sal. Come on. You could say all you want about, he coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. He's got pop, he's got this, he's in shape. Yeah, I agree with all of that. But just like I use the analogy all the time about an undefeated sports team, if they're playing the worst team every single week or every single day, and they win every single game, are they the best team? I mean, this is Deontay Wilder. He's clearly, as far as I'm concerned, he's like the main character Toro in Harder They Fall. Everybody around him, they obviously know this guy has not fought anybody. They overprotect him. There's all kinds of rumors that all his fights are paid off, including the one coming up with Luis Ortiz.
Come on.
But here's let me read you some quotes. Now, what is the big fight we all want to see, Sal? Come on, what is it?
Is this like Jeopardy? Are you kidding me? The big fight we want to see is Deontay Wilder stepping into the ring for the heavyweight championship of unification and of the world against our main man in UK, Anthony Joshua. That's the fight. That's the only fight I want to see in the heavyweight division between you and me.
That's correct. And I think that if you talk to any boxing fan, whether they're a diehard fan, a marginal fan, or just heard of the sport, they will tell you that they want to see Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder. All right? Well,
all right.
We all heard, and let me ask you another question.
I can't wait. I want to go 2 for 2.
Yeah, let me ask you another question. Do you feel that Anthony Joshua has become the face of boxing in a sense?
I mean, Anthony Joshua has done incredible things, has done things that associate boxing now. He is one of the main faces of boxing, especially in the heavyweight division. So, yes, I understand where you're going with that, what you're saying, and I could agree that I think he is the poster child for boxing at right this minute.
Listen, he sells out. There's a
he
high
sells out everything. I mean, the guy's incredible. I mean, those that follow boxing know Anthony Joshua.
So let me ask you this: in your travels, from your house to your restaurant, because that's about all you go these days. But when you travel,
maybe Clinton County once in a while.
Yeah,
check out my.
You got to go to the store. I know you got to go. You got to go into Brunswick occasionally.
Back now, my little island hopper.
You got to go to Brunswick occasionally. But anyway,
it's just a causeway away.
Yeah. In your travels, and you start talking about boxing. Because when people come into your restaurant, I mean, they get a pretty good idea that you're a boxing guy, right? I mean, you would think that, right?
Well, we talk Yankees, we talk Giants, we talk New England, we talk boxing up the gazoo, and we talk about everything. I mean, that's just it. But boxing primarily, yeah. The pictures kind of increase the volume tone of. You're a boxer. Oh, it is. So, yeah, really. So, yeah, boxing is the centrist, right, what we discuss, yes.
And then you always have the Sal TV playing 24/7.
WSAL,
right.
Sal TV,
right.
Playing my nonstop videos of some of my fights that are still available on YouTube, MyTube,
So listen.
I'm ready for the question.
With the people, I know most of them were all... Because I face it on a regular basis. Most people used to be boxing fans, and et cetera, et cetera. But when you talk about today's fights, do a lot of them know who Anthony Joshua is?
Most of them, I will tell you this: the men and women of Fletzy, they are more in tune a lot of times with the combatant sports, MMA primarily, but boxing secondary and tertiary definitely. So we do discuss boxing, and they do know Anthony Joshua. They do know Deontay Wilder. Those are that fan base. The average Joe that comes in there and knows something about boxing. If you're trying to have me say this, yes, they will recognize the name or recall the name of Anthony Joshua before they will Deontay Wilder.
Exactly.
Is that where you're going?
Well, Anthony Joshua, the reason why, Deontay Wilder, the reason why I say Deontay Wilder is delusional is because he's basically talking about Anthony Joshua needs Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder does not need Anthony Joshua.
Wow.
Deontay Wilder says that I'm the most exciting, most entertaining fighter in the heavyweight division. Nobody in the heavyweight division is doing what I'm doing. No one in the history of the heavyweight division is doing what I'm doing. Right? He's saying, he's saying his accomplishments have not been equaled throughout the history of boxing, and of course today, which to me is delusional. I think he needs to get his head examined. But let me get you some. When talking about Anthony Joshua and the fact that Anthony Joshua wants to fight Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder is outpricing himself because of the advisement of the people protecting him. He feels that Deontay Wilder feels that Anthony Joshua has to come to him and fight on his terms, not the other way around. Wilder says he may have his country behind him, but that's it. Does he want to be remembered as a countrywide champion? Because he's not worldwide. here in America, nobody even knows his name. They just know him as a big guy from England. That's a fact, he says, which is not a fact. We all saw, them doing interviews on the streets of Brooklyn outside of the Barclays Center before Deontay Wilder was going to fight. His name on the marquee, and nobody ever heard of Deontay Wilder. They thought he was a basketball player. So he says, the bottom line is he needs me at the end of the day, unless he doesn't want to unify the titles, unless he wants to stay over on his side of the pond and let people gravitate to him and be a fake sign of what he says he is. But he will never be a global icon. You will never be a worldwide figure without Deontay Wilder. This is him talking. All roads lead to me. He says, to be honest, a potential matchup is way off. He says everybody wants to see this fight. The only people that don't are his promoters. They already know how big of a risk that I am. They should be worried, but how long do they really think the public, the fans of boxing, are going to allow them to stay away from me? This is the biggest fight in our era. If they feel that they want to unify, then hey, you got to go through me. All roads lead to Deontay Wilder because I'm going nowhere no time soon. No one is doing what I'm doing in the heavyweight division. Nobody nobody in history has done what I'm doing.
Wow. Boy.
He reminds me, Sal, of the Bugs Bunny episode when Elmer Fudd is pretending that he's lost his mind so he doesn't go to jail for evading taxes. And when they brainwash Bugs Bunny because they think he's Elmer Fudd. So he's like, I am Elmer J. Fudd, millionaire. I own a mansion in LA. And then at the end, Elmer J. Fudd goes, I may be crazy, but I'm not going to Alcatraz. And this is this is Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has lost his mind. This guy is delusional. There is no way that Deontay Wilder is more known in the world of boxing, even in the world of boxing, but definitely in the sports world, more than Anthony Joshua. And there's no way in hell that Anthony Joshua needs Deontay Wilder more than Deontay Wilder needs Anthony Joshua. You can make an argument that, and I have made this argument, that Deontay Wilder is a fraud. The best fight of his career is yet to come. As a matter of fact, I will give him credit for beating Luis Ortiz, even though a lot of people feel that this fight's a setup, that they gave under-the-table money to Luis Ortiz, not only to avoid him the first time with the so-called steroids when it was in his blood pressure medicine, but that this particular fight is going to be a laydown fight because Luis Ortiz, all he wants is the money. He doesn't care about anything else. He's probably 45 years old in real life. I know they say he's 40. He might even be closer to 50. All those Cuban fighters lie about their age, especially when they had those extended amateur careers over in Cuba, and then they come over and be a pro. Half of them have to lie about their age so people will fight them. The truth of the matter is Deontay Wilder is delusional. This guy can... What's your thoughts on this whole situation, Sal?
Well, I'll tell you, Bill, it's, I respect Deontay Wilder as a fighter, not as a lip service man, because I'll tell you what, that's hard to say. I mean, what is his largest purse to date? $2 million? How many $1 million?
I think slightly under $2.
I think slightly under $2 million. Anthony Joshua, he lights up or signifies a fight. I mean, the guy's not walking out of that arena with less than $20 million. And I think that if I'm off, let me know. But I think that this guy's drawing power, his star power, it's centrist around the UK, but he is worldwide, and he is a world champion that needs to be respected as a world champion. Because I'll tell you what, if Deontay Wilder thinks he's going to be a pushover and a walkthrough, forget about it. I think Deontay Wilder is going to be having to eat humble pie by tasting what leathers taste like.
He's going to be eating leather. Exactly. He's going to be eating leather is what he said. Hold that thought. We got to take a short break. When we come back, we'll give you our final thoughts on delusional fraud man, Deontay Wilder, and some other news. And then I got a bunch of emails to read that we got to catch up on. So don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money.
It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604. Listen.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, we want you to be with us in August when we do another Billy C. get-together. This one's going to be huge, huge. We're going to be having a bunch of former champions and other fighters there, as well as some celebs. We are going to be doing not one, not two, but 3 days' worth of activities. We are going to have some memorabilia available. Listen, it's going to be the best one we've ever done. And we've done quite a few nice ones over the years. So you don't want to miss this one. The one little stipulation is you got to be on the list. So you got to drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And don't forget, it'll be a great vacation for the entire family. So don't think that it just has to be a boys' week out, which it could be, but you know what I'm saying. I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Senacola. And Sal, I think it's a shame that Deontay Wilder feels this way, and I also read between the lines and feel that this is his way, being advised to try to get interest, which there already is plenty of interest. He doesn't need to do this to make himself look like a fool. I just think that he's trying to make some more money out of the deal. I think that, he's trying to beef up his value so that, Team AJ offers him more money. But the simple solution to this would be if Deontay Wilder's people actually had money to offer to AJ to come over, but I don't see them offering any deals.
No, they're not going to do that. I mean, like I said, it should be definitely with a rematch clause. They can come over here. Like I said, AJ, if he wants to, he could definitely come over here. He could fight in Las Vegas. He could fight in Madison Square Garden. He could fight the Barclay with Deontay. It depends on what he feels and how he says. But what I'm trying to hint is, I think he's more in the driver's seat than Deontay Wilder.
100%. 100%.
Yes.
And you want to know something else? I agree that if Deontay Wilder, if AJ came here to fight Deontay, no matter where he fought, he would sell out. And if he came over here and fought anybody, he would sell out and draw a big crowd. He doesn't need to fight Deontay Wilder to draw crowds. He got 90,000 people to fight a slug. I mean, Deontay Wilder has never drawn that many people. It's ludicrous, as Mike Tyson would say, for Deontay Wilder to even consider or even think that he's in any kind of a driver's seat. He's in a child's driver's seat. He's in a trunk, man. He ain't in no driver's seat.
He's in a booster.
Yeah, he's in a booster seat.
But listen, I can understand. And first of all, I don't know if anybody's feeding Deontay Wilder this or if this is coming from him himself. But the bottom line is, if he's trying to create interest, stimulate a bigger check or so somehow, some way, I don't think there's the way to do it, because he does sound a little foolish. We all know, the people know, the fans know that Anthony Joshua is the big man in the heavyweight division that everybody else is going to try and beat and take down the totem pole. But the bottom line is, Anthony Joshua could make big money, could make big things happen for Deontay Wilder. And even if Deontay Wilder looks respectful in losing a fight against Anthony Joshua, he'll never see just $2 million again.
I've said that many, many times. If Deontay Wilder fights Anthony Joshua in England, and you're 100% right, obviously they could have a rematch clause if the fight was competitive, et cetera, et cetera. But if Deontay goes over and fights AJ, he should accept the deal that was on the table for him, $7 million, plus he gets to keep the U.S. TV rights. He will never fight for less than $5 million again, even if he loses. He's so stupid. This is what I don't understand. He's listening to the BS that his team is telling him, and he's so dumb that he doesn't even see that he's actually tripping over millions of dollars to save a few pennies. It's a joke, and I honestly and sincerely feel sorry for Deontay Wilder. He's being taken advantage of. This guy is Toro from Harder They Fall, 100%. And the poor bastard's going to end up being broke. You watch.
Well, you say some big things there. I think he portrays a little better fighter than what we saw in Toro, but same scenario on a lot of levels. But nobody.
Wait. Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How? Tell me how he portrays himself as a better fighter than Toro, when you got to admit there's no one on his resume that's impressive. The only thing that's impressive is how he knocks these punching bags out. But I mean, couldn't any decent heavyweight do the same?
Decent heavyweight, majority of the heavyweights that are decent should be able to do just that. And I can't really say that he has been fed fodder. I mean, he definitely has knockout power, and we definitely know how he fights with his style. It is unorthodox. And I'll tell you what, and like I said, the foundation of what I claim, it's not going to be a sure win for either fighter, Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. I feel there's a looming sense that Deontay Wilder does have a style that Anthony Joshua has not seen yet. I don't think he's a slam dunk in either one-way scenario. It's not going to be. But it's going to be a great fight. And to think that Deontay Wilder is in the driver's seat to have this fight outlined by him alone, forget about it. It's not. It's going to take two. And Deontay Wilder is the lesser known of the two champions. And Anthony Joshua, deservingly so, should be the one dictating most of the stipulations here as far as what they're going to have to do to jump over the hurdles to get to the fight day.
Bottom line is AJ doesn't need Deontay Wilder.
No, he doesn't.
If Anthony Joshua beats Joseph Parker in March, like I think he will, like I know he will, it's all about Deontay Wilder stepping up and fighting Anthony Joshua. End of story. But what bothers me the most about this delusional quotes that he's begging to get in front of the cameras, in front of the scribes, is the fact that he says that this fight's a long way off, which gives an indication that they're going to play games. So we're not going to see this fight. We all had hope that, we had such a great year in 2017 in the sport of boxing. We all hoped that it was going to keep running, solidly in 2018, which we do appear to have some nice fights on the horizon. So I am happy about what so far 2018 looks for the sport of boxing. But make no mistake, we were all dreaming about having a unification between AJ and Deontay Wilder sometime this year. Don't count on it. It looks like it's not even going to be in the discussion till probably mid next year, which is too long. Like I've always said, Sal, huge fights should be made right away because there'll be another huge fight right after it. We don't need this so-called marination process. I'm sorry, we don't.
No, and I agree with you on this level, yes. But I'm telling you, just like we hear of a fight not happening or a fight happening, I'm telling you right now, that's what's happening here. And we're going to see this fight this year. We're going to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. This fight's going to take place in 2018. And just like when you think it's going to be doom and gloom, nowhere on the horizon, boom, it's going to be, they're in serious negotiations. It should be announced shortly. That's what's going to happen. I know it. And here's the thing that I'm more concerned about. You suggested that nobody's really looking out for Deontay Wilder on this level. Okay. How many years does a fighter really have in his career? And especially if he is self-proclaimed or on top of the game or number one, what he really needs to be doing is talking to a career advisor or somebody better be looking out for him. Because even if he has 2 or 3 years left at this level and as a so-called world champion, the greatest of the world, they got to look at it. And the natural layup would be to go over to fight Anthony Joshua, get the largest payday in your life, have a rematch clause, and have another big payday, and couple more fights, and you're out in the horizon, grazing gold. I mean, we got to look at it. If he looks respectful as we suggest or think he can do in a fight, it's going to be a good rematch incentive, and also I think that the payday is going to be more money. He can make more money in these two fights with Anthony Joshua than he can for the remaining years of his life, of his career of boxing. End of story.
You're right, and that's how stupid he is.
And it's a shame because his career advisors, all being the people that they are, I mean, do the math. You got the promotional take on it. You got the managerial take on it. You got the training take on it. I mean, his team should really be centered around and say, hey, guess what? This is where we're going to go. This is the money. This is the direction. And we'll see if our man can step up to the plate and do what he's got to do. And but we got 2 fights here, and we can all retire after these 2 fights.
Right.
Bingo.
They're using.
Why do I say bingo?
They're using him, and they're taking advantage of him because he's stupid. And the truth of the matter is that when as much as I didn't like the fighters that take that path of, hey, I only want to fight once a year, but I want to fight for way more money. That's the smarter financial way to move. You know, I mean, like you said, he's in a position to make $20 million roughly for 2 fights against Anthony Joshua. He'd have to fight 10 fights against the bums that he usually fights. And quite honestly, even though they're punching bags, even though we all know that he's going to knock the bums out, he still could get caught. And I'm convinced he's got a weak chin and a weak midsection. And all that $20 million could go down the toilet in a second. So a big mistake. Let me take a short break here. Then we will read some emails. So don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Hologram USA presents a proposal to all investors. Hologram USA is an innovative three-dimensional patented technology that shifted the paradigm in media technology. Our patented hologram technology that brought you Tupac and Coachella, Whitney Houston, Billie Holiday, and many more is integrating live performances to bring your favorite past and present entertainers beyond your imagination. Invest in the patented technology before the banks scoop up all the stock. Invest in Hologram USA today. Hologram USA Flagship Theater, located on Hollywood Boulevard's Walk of Fame, is the first of many to come. Call now to be part of the explosive growth. Pick up the phone. Dial the number on your screen now. Invest in Hologram USA today. Call the number on your screen right now to learn about this investment opportunity.
Call 800-624-1673. 800-624-1673.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
Undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And I'm here with my main man, Sal Rocky Senacola, and we are finishing up discussing the the fraud known as Deontay Wilder. There's no need for marination. The AJ Wilder fight is ready to take place. So moving on, because I got a bunch of emails to read, Sal. First and foremost, there is a fight was announced at Madison Square Garden for St. Paddy's Day, March 17th, featuring a world title fight. The vacant WBC junior welterweight title is on the line, and Jose Ramirez will be taking on Amir Oman, which I think is a pretty evenly matched fight, and it ought to be pretty interesting. But the other part of this matchup, once again, puts Bob Arum up against Don King. Bob Arum's fighter is Jose Ramirez, and Amir Oman works with Don King. So we'll see what happens there. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a great confrontation. Should be a good, entertaining fight. And may the best man win. And whenever you have a Don King or a Bob Arum, those are the two top guns that I remember the first names we heard as far as promotional outfits. And then, of course, main events popped up and everything else came after.
Can you believe it's been 7 years since the two of those guys co-promoted an event? The last one was when Miguel Cotto was on a card that when he fought Ricardo Mayorga being Don King's guy back in 2011. So it's been a while, but
it's unbelievable. And they've been in a fight game for over 50 years. That's incredible, right there.
Yeah. Well, I even guys that hated, even promoters that hated each other, like these two, work together. That's one thing that
they do.
Promoters of today should learn from these two Hall of Famers. But
they're masters. They're masters.
Anyway, Roy Jones Jr., another future Hall of Famer, all-time great. He fights his last fight tonight. He's going into the cruiserweight match with his opponent, who's Scott Sigmund, who's got a record of 30 wins, 11 losses, and a draw, with 16 wins coming by knockout. Scott Sigmund has never fought at the cruiserweight level. By the looks of the weigh-in photos and stuff, it doesn't look like Scott Sigmund could win a fight against you or me, but that's besides the point. Roy Jones Jr., 65 wins, 9 losses, 47 coming by knockout. For all the young boxing fans that have been suffering through Roy Jones just continuing his career for the last decade plus, I feel for you because you haven't seen what all the hubbub's about with Roy Jones Jr. Was a spectacular fighter years ago, but far from it today. Don't know why he's even doing it, but hopefully this truly will be his last fight. He's going to be 50 years old this year, and it's definitely time for him to hang up.
Yeah, I agree. But then again, you know me, I'm ready to look for another comeback.
Yeah, well, that's stupid, but it's stupid like Deontay Wilder.
I didn't say it wasn't.
No, you didn't. That's for sure. A couple emails. First one from my man Jolie says, "Hey, Billy C, tonight, Roy Jones Jr.'s retirement fight. It'll be broadcast on UFC Fight Pass. At the weigh-ins, he clearly looked old and out of shape, like a guy who was fighting as if he needs the money." Scott Sigmund, which incidentally, I think is the case. I know he makes good money with HBO, but he also pisses a lot of it away. So I do believe he's doing it for the money as well.
Do we know how much he's making?
And he can't be making too much.
No, he can't be making too much, but he's got to be making a couple $100,000, if not $1 million.
No way. I don't think so.
Okay.
No way. Who's going to pay him that? How's he going to get that kind of money? Where's that money going to get generated? UFC Fight Pass didn't throw him that much money to fight. Who wants him to fight? In order to make that kind of money, you got to be in a desirable fight. He's probably not making anything. He's probably making $50,000 at that.
I was going to say $50,000.
Yeah, if that. I bet she's not even making that. Honestly, I bet she's making 25. Really. It's sad. He's got nothing to prove.
Well, you know what? That's sad. You just said that. Here's a guy that fought for millions of dollars, and if he's just stepping in a ring for $25,000 or something like that, well, it's hard. That says it right there.
I mean, it's not even when you think about the fight itself, it's not even a fight. Like, he's not, getting his 70th win or his 100th win. I mean, it's not even right now he's sitting on a 65 win record. So what's he gonna have, 66? I mean, what does that do for him? I don't know. Anyway, Joel says Scott Sigmund never fought a cruiserweight, so my assumption it's going to be an easy fight for Roy Jones. Do you and Sal really see this as Jones Jr.'s last fight? I'd say Jones Jr. is about 14 or 15 years past his prime. The guy's 49, has nothing left to offer unless he thinks he's still in demand at small venues and high school gyms. But with his HBO gig, it's really not necessary. I hope he hangs it up after tonight and focuses on other business ventures along with doing the play-by-play for HBO. I'd rather see him be able to pronounce names and words when working for HBO and not suffer any more brain damage than he already has. Your thoughts on all of this? And were you and Sal huge fans of Roy Jones when he was in his prime? Well, one thing I will say about this final fight, it is in Pensacola. That is his hometown. What he's trying to justify the fight is saying he's giving it to his, hometown fans, one more performance. I agree that he's clearly way past his prime, and Joel might be 100% correct, 14 years, 15 years. I'm not a big fan of him on HBO anymore at all. I think he's run his course. I'd like to see him just ride off into the sunset, maybe focus on his promotional company. I don't know. I don't see any, I don't see any signs of brain damage from him. And I agree with Joel that he should get out while he can. And I was a huge fan of his in his prime. What about you, Sal?
Well, I concur with you on all those levels. I mean, the guy was incredible. I mean, he could do it all as a fighter, and he did. He had climbed the mountain. He stayed up there, and then he gracefully came down. And he's found other things. I mean, here he is with HBO. I mean, that's a gig that any retired fighter would welcome, that opportunity. And so I think he's in a driver's seat on that level, and he could designate the direction of his career. But I'll tell you what, Bill, on the other side of the coin, I mean, I can empathize with him. There is no greater feeling that you get or high than preparing yourself and getting into the squared circle for another fight. And it's just something. You can't come up with a reason. It's just what's driven in you, what's embedded in you, which is sometimes. And I'm not saying every fighter, but I'm just saying it's something that, maybe he wants to revisit. Maybe he just wants to get the one more time because he feels he can. And, he's looking at all these fighters up there doing the color commentary and all that. And he as a frustrated or former world champion, I'm sure he's saying, well, I could do that, or this is going to happen, or I should be able to do that. And so he's believing in that, and he wants one more time to do it. And that's pretty much maybe it,
Well, if you really think you could still do it, then you fight a contender and show you can do it and work your way up. He's not even trying to do that. So what's the point?
Yeah.
And the truth,
you're right.
And
you're absolutely right.
But the truth of the matter is this guy Scott Sigmund could land a shot that hurts Roy Jones. So the risk isn't worth the reward. That's all. But
well, and you just said it, or in simple terms too, risk reward or prize worth the price.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, he can make more money sitting at ringside on HBO, blabbering like he always does, saying nothing. But whatever. Another email. Thanks for the email, Joel. This one's from my man Mitch. This one was the one I couldn't get to yesterday. This is a good one. Check it out. It's a long one. He says it's concerning HBO. And the other day we were talking about HBO and Showtime and is HBO dead? He says, Billy C., don't bury HBO yet. I think they're playing a game of chess. AJ's contract with Showtime expires after this fight. This kid, and this is a really good point because it was something I totally.
And Mitch is right. I mean, they play chess on that level.
Yeah,
yes,
but listen. It was like this was something I totally overlooked when I was being critical of HBO the other day. Even though I am still critical of them, they haven't produced. But Mitch is 100% right. Showtime had one more fight for Anthony Joshua, and they are getting the luxury of broadcasting a great one, a unification fight. But anyway, it says AJ's contract with Showtime expires after this fight. This kid is gonna be a billionaire if he keeps winning. I think HBO is saving money not only to go after the Wilder fight, but when AJ becomes a free agent, the networks are going to throw the house money at him for his fights. Keep in mind, Eddie Hearn has already crossed over by getting Danny Jacobs and Baby Miller to jump from Showtime to HBO. Who cares about Baby? Jarrell Miller's another fraud. Actually, him and Deontay should fight. But anyway, we could have it the battle of the frauds. No, I didn't say we should have the battle of the Chevys, not the frauds. Oh, no, wait, that's frauds.
You're funny guy.
But anyway, he says AJ Hearn's a guy, and if HBO wins the bid, they'll be back. Why? Because a bunch of UK guys will follow AJ due to Hearn's deal. Amir Khan, Scott Quigg, James DeGale, Kell Brook, Anthony Crulla, Ryan Burnett, Dillian White, Calvin Smith, Ryan Kelly, who's going to be a star, etc. All are Eddie Hearn's guys. AJ will pave the way for these guys. Why won't they go to Showtime? Why won't they go to the Showtime route? I'll kind of answer it with my next point. The World Boxing Super Series has been fantastic. We all wish US TV would have picked this up. Here's why the two big networks didn't. One, Richard Schaefer burned bridges at HBO a few years ago with his criticisms of Ken Hirschman, and he continues to badmouth them for not making the fights that he felt should be made. So HBO was going to deal with Schaefer. By the way, Kenny Hirschman's gone. So he says, as far as Showtime, it boils down to a couple of things. Schaefer's relationship with Heyman isn't as sweet as in the past because in the business, what goes around comes around. Schaefer and Heyman used Oscar years ago and used Savvy to steal fighters away from Golden Boy. Years later, at some point, Schaefer and Heyman realized that they were using each other too. Since the time buy money has been spent up, Al Heyman has now all of Showtime's dates, with occasional Fox or CBS cards mixed in, but it's primarily Showtime. Right, because this is the guy that stole all those other people's money and it didn't work. Al Heyman's a crook. Everybody that thinks that Al Heyman's good for boxing doesn't really know what this guy is doing. I mean, he's snaking. He's ruining these fighters' careers. He gets them big paydays, but only one every couple of years. Talk to some of these guys that signed with him that are still signed that haven't fought in 2 years. And there's quite a few of them. Anyway, he says, he says the same thing right here. He says, Al Heyman has too many fighters that he promotes, advises, whatever the hell he's going to do. So he's not going to give up his Showtime dates to Schaefer, especially since none of his fighters were in the WBSS because they don't have the you-know-whats to be in a series like that. He says, so Showtime was out of options too. No Showtime, no HBO. So then he probably looked at ESPN. While they appear to be all in for boxing, they are the new kid on the block and signing exclusive deals with Golden Boy and Top Rank. They put their eggs into those budgets, which, when you think about that, that's ESPN is a corporate conglomerate, and they went with the two big promoters that are more well-known here in the States, being Golden Boy and Top Rank. So you could see why they did that, and that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Man, I'm no matter what, Sal, we got to bring Mitch to our next event because he's a knowledgeable guy. That's for sure. Plus, I think I might owe him a dinner or something. I don't know. Or I think we were going to bet on something. I don't know. But anyway, he says what we're left with was Schaefer possibly finding another U.S. channel to get the World Boxing Super Series on and probably throwing the towel in. I think if they do it again, he'll get a U.S. deal. Listen, I'm surprised that he doesn't tie up a U.S. deal right now for the final for the cruiserweight division. I'm shocked that HBO doesn't put their differences aside and bring him on. Because HBO has worked with people that they didn't work with in the past. Just look at Mayweather and Mike Tyson. They both ended up fighting on HBO after both of those fighters screwed HBO and went to Showtime. So money fixes a lot of things, boys and girls. He says as far as the WBSS, the final four cruisers had a record of 83-0 with 68 knockouts. These guys fought and weren't afraid to lose their And that's what I love the most about the World Boxing Super Series and why I'm embarrassed that the American fighters didn't take that risk as well. He says, you guys hit it on the head yesterday. Keith Thurman is getting passes that Kell Brook didn't when it comes to Errol Spence. Thurman fights once a year and then comes up with a car accident, no police report, micro tears, no x-rays, tendon issues, etc. He fought once per year over the past 2 years and twice per year 2 years before that. Put Heyman's guys in the WBSS tournament, and they'll all pull out. Strange thing, each round guys advance in World Boxing Super Series, they get more money. The super middleweight payout is different from the cruiserweight. The winner, he says the winner between Usyk and Gaziev will not only be the undisputed champion, but they're going to get up to $10 million. That's on top of what they already won. In the super middleweight portion of the World Boxing Super Series, you get $1 million as a quarterfinalist, 2.5 as a semifinalist, and 4 as a finalist. And guess what?
Wow.
Those are the losers' purses in each round. The overall winner will get $8 million plus whatever he has won in the prior rounds. You think Broner, Thurman, Spence, Kid Chocolate, or Robert Easter Jr. made $8 million? How about the $2.5 million they lose in a semifinal fight? I hope they pick the key weight classes next time, and we'll see who wants in and who doesn't. Something tells me the puppet master won't allow these guys to make some legit money. Lastly, what makes this better than the Super 6 is fighters weren't dropping in and out left and right. Darrell gets a pass. Glenn Johnson and Alan Green replaced Taylor and Mikhail Kessler. It became a mess. And the Super 6 took over 2 years to complete. It ran from 2009 to 2011. Mitch, love the email. Keep it up.
Great.
I agree with everything he said here, Sal. And we talked about the Super 6 yesterday taking so long. The World Boxing Super Series is going to be over this year. I love the WBSS. And, I really hope that a U.S. television network picks up the final, and then moves forward. I would love to see it in a major division like we spoke about yesterday, whether it being in the middleweight or welterweight or even heavyweight. But the problem is, once again, you won't have the U.S. fighters willing to take the risk. And that bothers me, Sal. When you have these guys all in the cruiserweight division in this World Boxing Super Series, all of the fighters went into this tournament with titles. At least the guys that were in the semifinals all had titles, and they all knew that they were going to risk the title for the end result. That's what the American fighters don't seem willing to do, because it's a smokescreen. Just like Deontay Wilder saying that AJ needs him. It's a smokescreen. I don't understand it, because in boxing it's very simple. Step in the ring, fight the guy, and show you the best. End of story.
End of story. And like we often said, tournament styles and tournaments, they do weed out and do prove to be a heck of a way to groom and to hone in and to have an ultimate champion. And, is it the finite? Is it the definitive way to go about getting a super champion? I don't know, but, look comparatively to where we are today with everybody having all these belts around, everything else. Why not, But as we're saying this, I can never imagine a Keith Thurman or even a Triple G, for that matter, wanting to partake in a tournament like this, only because they are on their outside with their negotiations and their dictation of when they fight, who they fight, and how much they get during a fight. And there's too many fighters out there that want to continue along that pathway, and no disrespect to them, and not saying that that's incorrect or wrong. So when you look at fighters that possibly want to have a name or get in a spotlight or be worldwide known or something, then they toss their hat in a ring and say, hey, let's try the Super Series, or let's try this tournament, let's try that, and I could do it. And so it is for a different breed, and you could make an argument for both sides of the coin. I think ultimately, like you suggest, it's a great way to see who really is the confident, the fighter that can hone in and show us what he's all about. It's fantastic. But there are those fighters there that feel they don't need it and feel that they are better off without it, whether it's due to fear or of losing their status or whatever else.
No, you're 100% right. These tournaments, they no other way to say it, they separate the pretenders from the contenders. I mean, let's be real. Just to have the balls to sign the paper, shows the difference of the mindset. And I'm sorry, people don't listen to what I say. It's not that I dislike the American fighters, because I think we have a slew of very, very extremely talented fighters here in the United States. Of course we do, but when they're not willing to put up or shut up, you gotta put a little asterisk there. It's the same thing with Deontay Wilder. Listen, my big hang up with fighters like Deontay is they pound their chest. They jump up on the ropes. They scream and yell at the fans. They say they're the best. This guy's saying he's the best ever. This guy's saying that nobody in the history of the heavyweight division has ever done what he's doing. And they can't back it up. It's like the bully in the schoolyard who says how tough he is, and you never seen him in a fight. The truth of the matter is boxing is easy to get the accolades. All you got to do is step in the ring.
Step in the ring and fight. Let your fist fly.
That's it.
People will love you or hate you, but either way, they're going to talk about you.
The truth of the matter is that we got one guy in Floyd Mayweather that was successful at maneuvering his career the way he did. Let it be. There's only one Floyd Mayweather Jr. All these other fighters are trying to copy him. Listen, I got 2 more emails real quick that I wanted to get to here, Sal. One I'm going to read right now. Then we're going to get Dax to come on and give us his thoughts on the World Boxing Super Series. Then I got another one that we're going to close with. This one's from my man Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. He says, "Hola, Senor C and Sal. This is Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. I got to give it up for Showtime getting ahead of HBO for the big fights. I personally am not up on HBO and its current roster and lack of focus. If you and Sal become HBO advisors, what changes would you make?" First thing I would do is get a new broadcast team. I think Jim Lampley has run its course. Max Kellerman has. I thought he was going to really become the heir apparent to Jim Lampley, but
me too.
He seems to be slipping, and Roy Jones Jr. is done. That would be the first thing I would do. Second thing I would do would be to make sure that I had enough budget in place to get the fights. Go back to the beginning. HBO used to only put on the best fights. They focused on the flyweight division. I think it was a mistake. What about you, Sal?
I think it's a good thing to do. I as much as I've loved listening to Jim Lampley through the years, I think he is the face of HBO boxing, and I think that he has had his place. Is he slipping now? And does he say things? Has he become a corporate guy in a sense? And now he has the handcuffs on? Possibly. Max Kellerman, the same thing. I think that he was on a good path. He was going to be the heir apparent, and he still may be, because we don't know what HBO's doing. But he does overchomp the bit a little bit, and he says some outlandish things, I think. And I don't know if he really will fit that mold. But then again, Bill, we're looking from the outside as boxing guys looking in. They're looking on a corporate level of what the masses of the public and the fans are going to be introduced to or seeing from these gentlemen.
Time out. You made a great point right there. But here's the problem. They're looking at the people that are taking that data and are trying to make educated guesses or mapping out a strategy, aren't looking at the right stuff. They're not looking at it from a fight fan's perspective. And there's where the problem lies. I think that it's pretty obvious when you see guys that come on that nobody's heard of with an O on their record, that the people making the decision don't know. And that's a big negative. We're going to have to take a break here. But the other thing I wanted to mention about Jim Lampley is he's lost the ability to call a fight. He waits for the punch stats to come in. One last thing Angel says here is, "Hey, Sal, can you give me your secret recipes so I can treat my girlfriend for a nice home-cooked Italian meal for Valentine's Day?" I tell you what, Sal, that's up to you. If you want, I will email you. Basically, you know what? Do this, Angel. Go up to Sal's website, salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, and email Sal, and he will maybe let one or two of your recipes slide. Will you do that for this kid?
Tell him you can even forward to him my email. Let him put in the subject line, Billy C fan or something like that, and let him look on my menu. And if I can, I will look at his email and I will give him a recipe of whatever dish he thinks he wants to try.
Sounds like a plan. Angel from Madison,
Did
Wisconsin.
I really say that?
Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to forward you Sal's email. I'm going to copy you, and you guys can work it out. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're scheduled to have Dax Khan give us his thoughts on the World Boxing Super Series. All of that's coming up in about 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604. Listen.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. You know, we've been talking a lot about the World Boxing Super Series and how great it's been. I mean, it just seems like every fight is better than the previous one. Well, joining us right now to give us his thoughts, who's also a big fan of the World Boxing Super Series, is our very own Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, Dax.
What do you think, my man? Tell me, every time we talk about the World Boxing Super Series, it's like we see a fight. It's like, oh my God, that was a great fight. Then the next one comes and it's even better. You know, I mean, I'm scared to think what the final is going to be like, right?
It's absolutely, I am. You know, really, with the sport, and ever since the Usyk and Breedis fight, I really started looking at all the headlines, not only on this show, but on other media sites, what fans say on social media. And, you know, then it actually made me read your book again. You know, I read it, you know, from cover to cover, from Alex, you know, our Blast from the Past man's foreword, you know, to everything you wrote in there about Tom Alanall, you know, to my epilogue. And it really made me think about this sport and the World Boxing Super Series as a whole. And just thinking about, you know, there's a part at the end of that book where I said, you know something, this sport, you know, it makes this turnaround, and these same mistakes are being made over and over again. And in boxing, we continuously doubt, and everything's become a sell job, as you guys have spoken about that earlier today on the show, whether or not, you know, with Deontay Wilder selling, talking about this weekend, or last weekend's fights, you know, with Gilberto Ramirez, how they continuously sold him during his fight. They would say stuff about how Gilberto Ramirez, nobody throws as many punches as him in all of boxing, but meanwhile they forget about David Benavidez. No matter who would win or lose between the two of them, that's a guy that throws twice as many punches as Ramirez. But, you know, the World Boxing Super Series, when it came out, Bill, we spoke, I don't mean Sal spoke, you know, we were questioning. You know, we have the cruiserweight division, the super middleweight division. You know, we got it's the tournament bracket. We're questioning how it's going to compare to how the Super 6 was. But then, you know, you got 16 fighters. You got 7 belts, 6 world champions combined, 423 wins, 17 losses, 294 KOs. It almost seemed too good to be true. And where were the hitches going to come in? You know, and then, of course, the Richard Schaefer factor came in there. You know, how was this going to play out with Richard Schaefer. And then Sauerland Promotions, the company that's been criticized by U.S. media, U.S.-based fans for their Nordic fight nights and for promoting females in main events, which are similar to the Broadway boxing rockin' fights. A lot of the promoters, all of a sudden, they're promoting these female fighters, and the tournament, it gives two divisions that needed a lot of attention, the super middleweights and the cruiserweights. It needed a lot of attention, and here it just seems to be more controversy than substance. People here are talking about Floyd Mayweather posting a short video getting into a cage, but meanwhile these guys are doing something special. And you're right, Bill, as every fight passes, this tournament gets more exciting, and each one of these guys that are in there, questions are being answered on them. We found out, how was a guy like Junior Dorticos going to deal with guys once he was able to get in there and show something like we questioned on Rigondeaux, when he was going to be able to show against these top guys willing to fight him what was going to happen. Dorticos, an exciting puncher, he goes in there and all of a sudden, we find out that Dorticos, despite being an exciting puncher, he falls into the same category a lot of big punchers have in the past. Once he gets past that fourth round, all of a sudden, he fades out. Gassiev, a guy who people question, how good is this guy really? In back-to-back fights, he comes to the United States in New Jersey and he puts on a sensational performance against Vladzak, and then he goes back there and then he stops Dorticos. Same thing for Usyk. Here's a guy, 15 pro fights. He's had 5 or 6 of them on the road, even as the world champion. He's come to the United States. He's traveling to La Vida, to every place. He's a traveling champion. You got Groves and you got Eubank, you got Cox, you got all these guys are out there looking to prove they're the best. There is no selling. These guys are out there trying to prove they're the best, win, lose, or draw. And, the only bad part that we have been able to give to that here in the United States is that there's no U.S. TV. A guy earlier on spoke about Richard Schaefer and burning his bridges and the problems with Golden Boy and that. But what a lot of people don't realize is, some Richard Schaefer was actually the brains behind Golden Boy Promotions. Dealing with them in a media standpoint, Bill, you should know that, Oscar De La Hoya was more worried about Canelo and still is. As far as the rest of the company, it doesn't matter what happened. Not only with him, but, Romero Gonzalez, a lot of guys there. Richard Schaefer's the guy that really made that run. And when he started taking these fighters and people were mad at him saying he's stealing these fighters, so what's he do? He joins up with Sauerland Promotions and they put this on. Now all of a sudden it's starting to show that everything that we're criticizing, not on just this show, but everybody else is criticizing about boxing in the United States is coming true, because all of a sudden now every fighter from every place outside of Terrence Crawford and outside of Errol Spence is from every place else but the United States. Everybody, your topic of your show today, you have Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. They're sitting there and fighting over who's get the bigger purse. You know what? Just get it on. Claim that you are the best, prove you're the best, and then all of a sudden, you know what? You are going to be that A side, and that's what everybody in this tournament's going to be. Once that's what all these winners are going to be, and then now they already have plans for the second one. And when you look at all the top names in the United States outside of Errol Spence, outside of Keith Thurman, and outside of Terrence Crawford, can you name to me any fighters, even if they're based here in the United States, that are U.S.-born fighters?
No. And one thing I want to add, the World Boxing Super Series losers have gained more value in their careers. Excuse me. And I agree with you 100% that Richard Schaefer is no dummy. And this is the guy that was the brainchild behind Golden Boy. And, he's moving forward. I'm telling you that the success of the World Boxing Super Series with the cruiserweight division and the super middleweight division, and I said this the other day, the reason why they picked those is because I think that they had a better pool of fighters willing to work. I think now there's going to be a lot of pressure. If he announced that he wants to do a World Boxing Super Series on the welterweights or on the heavyweights or the middleweights, that puts a lot of pressure based on the success of the one that's going on now on all of these current champions, because you know as well as I do that Keith Thurman and the guys we mentioned the other day in the welterweight division probably wouldn't take that risk. Keith Thurman wouldn't. Maybe Errol Spence would. But, it makes you wonder who would be taking that risk. I know Errol Spence would. I know Kell Brook would. I know Sean Porter would. But Keith Thurman wouldn't. With Danny Garcia, I mean, I think it puts a lot of pressure on him. What do you think?
But even if they would, and I believe that there probably were fighters from here that were willing and wanted to step into that, but you know something? They had those handcuffs put on them by their promoters that would not allow them to do that. And that's the problem, is these promoters aren't allowing them to do that. And, you know, to go out there and take this chance, or the promoters are filling their head up saying, no, you're worth more. You know what? Go out there. You know what the purse is. You know who your opponents are. There's no need to marinate. There's no need to negotiate. This is how it's going to be. You know what the time frame is. Go out there, you can do this. You know, you're able to scout your opponents. You can, you know, there are no secrets. Everything's out in the open. You're being promoted on top of your promoter. This is a win-win for you, no matter what. You already know what you're going to get. I don't see why everybody's not jumping on this. They're actually asking the fans what divisions would they like next. And if they did do the welterweights, let's say, I can't see any of these promoters from here in the United States allowing any of these welterweights to go in there. And I do believe an Errol Spence would definitely want to go in there. I believe a Danny Garcia would want to go in there, but I don't see Heyman letting him go in there. Somebody spoke about the relationship with Heyman and Richard Schaefer, and Richard Schaefer and HBO. Richard Schaefer, more or less, he walked away from me because, you know what, he's doing what he wanted to do here without these politics. You know, like I said, you know, when I read that book and I'm thinking about, you know something, back then, Tom Molyneux, the champion of America, had to go over to England to fight the world champion, Tom Cribb. And you know something, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, arguably, again, the pound-for-pound top fighter in the sport, went overseas to make their name. They come back here, and you know something? They're given obstacles. Errol Spence came back here. He should have had the Thurman fight. You know, he's being danced around. He's given more excuses. Terrence Crawford, he fights all comers. He moves up a division, and, you know, all of a sudden he's willing to, you know, kind of reboot. Okay, you know what? Now I got to prove myself in another division. But we don't have a lot of these guys here. Bob Arum, he's in his 80s. He's on his way out. You know, so really, you know, what's going to happen if this trend continues? I'm telling you, you know something? America is going to build, Sal, in my opinion, this, you know, once again, the quality of boxing in this country is going to drop to a level where the only fights that we get and that we see are going to be ones that are force-fed and shoved down people's throats, and they're going to be the ones like these situations with Wilder, like situations with a Mayweather and Pacquiao with these year-long drag-outs. It's going to, you know, you're going to be begging, if you're a true fan, you're going to be begging for all this stuff from other countries. The Superfly 2 is coming up. You look at that Superfly 2 tournament, and look how many guys are in that tournament that are arguably in the top 15 pound for pound. You know, you have Inouye, you have Juan Francisco Estrada, you have in there Rungvisai, Lomachenko, another guy who might be the top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. He's not from America. Triple G, he's not from America. The top light heavyweights, whether it be Kovalev, whether or not it's Bivol, whether or not it's Beterbiev, they're not from America. Where are the great American fighters?
They're not willing. Sal, the reason why, and Sal, we just talked about this before, the reason why there's no American fighters, not to say they're not talented enough, but they're not willing to step in the ring and prove they're the best. The other fighters are. This is the slap on the face that we get, and it's an embarrassment. And I don't understand why the fighters themselves aren't embarrassed, Sal. I mean, when you've said a million times, you know, the fighter can change the course of what an advisor or a manager is saying. All they got to do is say, make the fight.
I want to fight.
Right.
Make the fight. I want to fight this guy. Boom.
Right? I mean, that's all they got to do.
A lot of yes men, you know. These are guys that aren't educated, unfortunately. These younger fighters aren't educated on the sport. They're not educated on, you know, they don't look at the sport as a broad horizon. Me and Sal were speaking during the break, before the break was over, you know, about Mike Tyson. This is a guy that, you know, coming up young with Cus D'Amato. Cus taught him about the whole sport, you know, for every aspect of the sport, you know. So Tyson was a historian, so he knew about everything other than what was in front of him. And right now, in my opinion, a lot of these young fighters coming up, and again, they are very talented, and it's not to to say that if they were not in this tournament, they wouldn't win. But, they just don't have that, that broad knowledge. What they have is just what they have seen in this last era. For example, they see these Heyman-type paydays, and this is what they want right away. They don't want to invest any longevity into this. And in my opinion, that's why they're just going along with a lot of these managers, a lot of these promoters, and they're just saying, you know what, I'm in it for the now, I'm not in it for the long run. And in a couple of years from now, they're going to regret that, in my opinion, especially when a lot of these guys, these top promoters, are on the way out the door, and then we're going to have a whole new wave of young promoters that are going to sit there, and they're really not going to know how to run things, the proper way either. And it's all going to go overseas. And overseas, in my opinion, by the time 2020 comes, we're going to be talking about whether or not it's Japan, whether or not it's England, whether or not it's South America. The United States is going to be at the bottom of the food chain.
One last thing I want to ask you, Dax. Who do you think the next World Boxing Super Series, what divisions?
I think, in my opinion, I think, probably the 154-pound division, and I think maybe the lightweight division.
Those would be too nice. I would welcome both of those. What do you think, Sal?
I would welcome those, and if those are the divisions that we think we want to shed a light on, I think they're the definitive divisions to do so. Another natural, but I don't think it needs the light, and I don't think it's going to have the cream rise at the top, but it'll be just the divisions above. We have the welterweight division, we'll have the middleweight division. But that's a far reach, and you've got your established champions there. So that's why I'm saying it's going to be hard to see these guys wanting to give their belt a chance to be on the line to go into a tournament when they're not going to know who they're going to draw, when they're going to fight, and everything else.
Sal, that's the beauty thing here. The sanctioning bodies have allowed all this to happen. There is no roadblocks. There's no excuses. The middleweight division, that'd be great, except you know what? You have Canelo there. Oscar De La Hoya is not going to risk that.
It won't happen. It won't happen.
Why risk a $10 million payday when I can get Canelo $40 million?
Not going to happen.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Same thing with the welterweights. 3/4 of the welterweight division, Sal, they're all handled by the same guy.
I know that. That's
the
problem.
Not
going to happen.
That's the problem. And they've successfully taken a fan base and have them believing that they are so good that they don't even have to fight to prove that they're good. It's when you think about it, it's genius. How did they even do it? How did they even get these stupid kids that have drank the Kool-Aid to believe that their favorite fighters are so good that they don't even have to fight the other fighters because they're that good? I mean, that's genius when you think of it.
It absolutely is. Before I go, me and Sal, another thing we were talking about briefly, and again, kind of relates to what you were just saying, where, I've been arguing with this guy on social media for days now about between Mike Tyson and George Foreman, saying that George Foreman was never the type of devastating knockout puncher that Mike Tyson was. Who did George Foreman ever knock out? What fighter did George Foreman ever put a beating on? And also, how could Muhammad Ali ever beat somebody like a Mike Tyson when a Muhammad Ali never dealt with anybody as hard punching as a Mike Tyson? And I said, well, how many of these fights have you seen? He goes, well, I've seen them all on YouTube, and I've never seen anybody get knocked out cold by a George Foreman, but I have by Mike Tyson. I'm like, and exactly who were these guys? I research everything. You do your own research.
Unbelievable.
Nah, there's a lot of wannabes out there, and it hurts the sport. But
that's why people are easy to sell, and that's why they're making money here.
Exactly. Boy. Dax, appreciate you coming on, and we're going to be taking that vacay, and you better start making your plans for August too. You got to come down, man. So we'll make that happen, and you'll have some fun. Start fasting now because we do feed you a lot.
I'm gonna make you a nicer pizza. You never forget.
Yeah, don't listen to him. He's been promising me a breakfast pizza. I still don't even know what they look like.
Hey, whoa.
I could have enjoyed some, Italian wedding soup up here with all this cold.
Oh, mamma mia! Yeah, we got a private party we're doing next week or 2 weeks, and we had a special request for our Italian wedding, a soup.
Hey, Dax, I got another 1.5 feet over that storm yesterday, man. I must have 3 feet of snow on the ground. It's terrible.
It's the ice that was brutal. It was the ice here.
I didn't get ice.
It snowed, then it stopped, then it rained, and then the ice froze, and it snowed again, then it stopped, and then rained. It was terrible. So, but you know what? That's why maybe I'm thinking about relocating someplace where I got a buddy of mine who has a restaurant that he cooks. And
come on down, Dax.
It's tough. There's a long waiting list on the bridge.
I can use an extra hand too, man. I give you a job and everything.
They check you on the bridge. They don't even let you over. They say, "What? Sal's now? They got this long line for Sal's." Dax, have a good one, brother.
Enjoy your day.
Take care.
Thanks, come on. Take care, buddy.
That's Dax Khan giving us his thoughts on the World Boxing Super Series, and hits it right on the head, Sal, for sure. Let me get this last email out the way. This is another long-winded one, but it's from my man Matt from Buffalo. He says, "Hey, Billy C, I hope you're feeling better. I can tell the sniffles got you down." Hey, yo. It was a little worse than the sniffles, but yeah, I am feeling a little better. He said, "I want to write in to provide some counterpoint." Are you sure this isn't from Sal? That's Sal's favorite word. I can't stand to yesterday's show.
Hey, counterpoint.
He says, "I agree that the boxing needs to improve on many elements, but I do believe sometimes we look at the past errors with rosy-tinted glasses. Boxing has long had issues that detract the sport and top fighters ducking. Two of our greatest fighters in the era you and Sal loved, Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali, ducked a rematch with their toughest opponents. Hagler and Foreman retired shortly after, leading to rematches for future on the Billy C boxing machine." First of all, neither one of those guys ducked rematches. You just said the reason why the rematches didn't happen. Hagler left the sport, and so did Foreman for a decade. So that wasn't. You can't blame Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, respectively. I'm sorry, Matt. He says, Rocky Graziano ducked Jake LaMotta. No, he didn't. As a matter of fact, there was an injury that prevented that fight. That fight was signed, sealed, and delivered, and then, I'm pretty sure Rocky Graziano injured himself and put off the fight, and then ended up taking another fight, and some other things happened, and it never happened again. Yeah, but that fight was signed, but an injury prevented it. So I don't know if that's a legit statement. He says Jake LaMotta didn't get him back with an updated remake of Somewhere Up There Likes Me. It did get him back with Raging Bull. He says Ali showcased talent against Chuck Wepner, but I will admit that gave us Rocky. Listen, you can't knock the opposition that Muhammad Ali fought. Come on, man. I mean, Chuck Wepner was a lot better than people think. He just had to face guys like Ali, Foreman, and Frazier. I mean, Kenny Norton. I mean, listen, Muhammad Ali, during his era when he fought, sometimes you loved him, sometimes you hated him, but everybody has to agree that the guy never ducked anybody, please.
Nobody.
Maybe I'm misreading this. I hope I am. But he says, but then again, he gave us Rocky. That's true. Chuck Wepner's life is actually the whole trilogy of Rocky, it's quadruple. I don't know how many. There's 6 of them. But anyway.
I think the initial movie Rocky was inspired by Chuck Wepner fighting Muhammad Ali.
Well, it definitely was, and so the second one was also based on the return of Chuck Wepner. Then the other ones just got all Hollywood. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. I hate talking about movies like they were real fights. But anyway, he says, perhaps then was the best showcase of all time. Tyson fought almost all pay-per-views against several against randoms. His path to a title on the way up road through Marvis Frazier and the like. Mike Tyson fought everybody that was available to him in the heavyweight division. We can't criticize divisions that don't have the talent. And as long as the fighter fights everyone. Lennox Lewis fought everyone available. Mike Tyson fought everyone available at the time before, obviously prolonged the fight because he went to jail. And quite honestly, Anthony Joshua has fought everyone available to him as well, except for Deontay. So we'll see. And he's trying to fight the rest. He says, despite not having been alive during the heavyweight glory days of the 70s or even the big showdowns of the 80s, I do appreciate them as a student of the game. I was also fortunate enough to learn about Carmen Basilio, Rocky Graziano, and Tony Zale because of my grandfather fought in that era. Thankfully not against them, or I might not have existed to even send you this email. Sadly, Carmen Basilio is one of the greatest upstate New York athletes of his time. of all time, and a few could name him across the region today. Past eras even have far deeper scars than today, in addition to less exposure outside the arena, match fixing, taking dives, keeping black fighters out of the sport, and bribes to sanctioning bodies have permeated our beloved sport's past. Despite it all, boxing carries on the most basic yet most magnificent sport. The sweet science will never die. I will state, however, the worst period of boxing was from 2009 to 2015. For that Mayweather era, I believe you, Sal, and I are in agreement. The Klitschko's grip on the heavyweight division and Mayweather's shoulder roll significantly damaged boxing's interest in the U.S. First, the heavyweight division was a snoozer, and second, Mayweather absorbed the entirety of promotional power in the sport. Worse than that, Mayweather laid an egg in the biggest true boxing pay-per-view of all time. That kept many away from the sport even to this day. Fast forward to today, more fights are televised than ever before. In addition to YouTube housing almost every bout since the dawn of man, the phones you dislike so much allowed me to watch a young Sal tear it up. Despite my dislike of Twitter, we can follow some trash talk and insights into the fighters. Did you know Lomachenko's favorite hobbies are hunting and fishing? I found this through Twitter and was glad we shared something in common. ESPN is back in the fight game with a great investment, and Toe-to-Toe Tuesdays on FS1 is a joy when it's on. Last year, CBS broadcast the biggest welterweight bout. We currently have the World Boxing Super Series, global coverage, and fun fighters to watch. Working at a large global company, I find it great to connect with the UK, Mexico, and other country colleagues about boxing. I was even successful at bringing old and new fans back into the sport just by discussing it and sharing highlights and fighter stories. I also took the liberty of outlining the top fights of the next few months. I believe we have quite a bit of the best versus the best on display. This covers only the first half of the year in booked fights with ESPN divisional rankings. I even listed weights to show the top bouts across the spectrum. Needless to say, as with most of my emails, I like to accentuate the positives of the sport in addition to fair criticism. He has March heavyweights, number 1 versus number 3, Joshua against Parker, number 2 versus 4, Wilder versus Ortiz. Cruiserweights in May, Gassiev, Usyk, 1 versus 2. Light heavyweight in April, number 3 versus number 8, Barava against Bivol, and number 1 versus 6, Stevenson versus Badu Jack. There's no way Adonis Stevenson should be ranked number 1. The guy never fights, so I forget ESPN and their rankings. I like the computer rankings. Go there. He says super middleweight in February, number 2 versus number 5, George Groves against Chris Eubank Jr., another good one. He says number 1 versus number 2 with Triple G against Canelo. Junior middleweights in April, number 2 against number 3, Hurd and Lara. Featherweights in June, number 1 against number 3, Cruz against Mares. Superfly in February, number 1 versus 3, Rung Vizal against Estrada. And flyweight in February, number 1 versus 3, Nietes against Revco. In closing, it isn't all gloom and doom. We millennials aren't all losers, as you make us out to be, Billy. We most are, but as for myself, I paraphrase a wise man, I can skin a buck and I can run a trot line. A country boy can survive. Thanks for the email, Matt. It's a great one. And listen, I don't... I don't mean dumb in a sense. You guys are smarter than we were. My granddaughter is she can write and read, and she's in kindergarten. At my generation, we didn't even learn to write till 2nd and 3rd grade. So no, from that point of view, today's youth is way smarter than we are, especially at that age. My point is, there's a lot of fans that aren't smart because they're not going back and doing things like you do, Matt, learning about the history of the sport, which is critical in this sport. But I love the email. You made a lot of great points. And boxing has always had its flaws, and boxing will always survive. The problem, and you hit it on the head about Mayweather and Klitschko. Klitschko, if he fought exciting fights like he fought against Kubrat Pulev for his whole career, we'd be talking about Vladimir Klitschko as the greatest heavyweight of all time. But because he fought in a very unexciting manner, a very cautious manner, just like Floyd Mayweather, you don't remember the fights. And as much as their accomplishments should outweigh the excitement, it doesn't, because this type of sport is all about the excitement. And that's why these former generations always seem to enlighten us. But let me just say one thing. There's gonna come a time when 20 years from now, people are going to be talking about this era, the 2017s, the 2018 era of fights. And, it's a normal thing. Every era that you're currently in, we always wish we were in the previous one. When I was a kid watching Muhammad Ali, everybody was talking about the 40s and 50s. When in the 80s, when all these great fighters were fighting, we were all talking about the 70s. So it's just a normal thing. The problem is when you have fighters that fight cautious first, they don't go down in history as being memorable. What's your thoughts, Sal?
I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, every era that we're in with fighting, we'll look back and we'll see one that we felt throughout our lifetime that we remember more of the significant fights that rose to the top. It's just a natural thing. I heard it from my father. I heard it from uncles. I heard it from friends, older friends. And, now you and I say it. The bottom line is 20, 30 years from now, you're going to have people reflect back on this era or something else or some of the big fights. But you hit it on the head a lot of times, and people are going to remember, which fights that were big. Is it going to be the Mayweather, or is it going to be still Roberto Duran or something else? It's some of the fights will stand the test of time just because those fights gave the fans whatever they wanted out of a fight to see.
Right. Well, I mean, listen, the fans want to fight. They clamor for a fight, and the fights used to be made a lot quicker than they are today. The marination process is what's hurting it. But, hey, boys and girls, listen, programming note, we were going to do a live show tomorrow. Unfortunately, something has come up. Mainly the weather has crushed this area. So there's some things that have to be done in order to survive, and I'm not kidding. So we will not be doing a live show tomorrow. We will be on vacation all next week. We return on February 21st. I know it sounds like a long way away, but I will be traveling back and forth. It'll give you guys a chance to review some of the older shows, and it's going to give Sal a chance to catch up on some of the shows that are about to happen, so he's well-versed, and by the time that we come back. But I want to leave you guys with this. On this day, February 8th in 1997, Prince Nassim Hamed knocks out Tom Johnson in the 8th round to win the IBF featherweight title. It took place in London. On this day in 1998, Enrique Sanchez wins a 12-round decision over Rafael Del Valle to win the vacant WBA World Junior Featherweight title. It took place in Louisiana. On this day in 1990, Hideki Oshai knocks out Ji-Won Hawan Choi in the 9th round to win the WBC World Strawweight title. It took place in Tokyo. On this day in 1930, Panama Al Brown retains his world bantamweight title via a 4th-round disqualification over Johnny Eckerson in their fight that took place at the Olympic Boxing Club in New York City. And finally, this is one of my favorite fighters. This guy, if you've never watched any of his fights, punch it up on YouTube. This guy, and when you look at him, he died in his early 20s and was such a great fighter, Filipino fighter. Very reminiscent of Manny Pacquiao. But on this day in 1924, Pancho Villa wins a 15-round decision over George Marks to retain his world flyweight title, and that took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City on this day, February 8th in 1924. I'm going to miss you guys, but make sure you catch up on some of the old shows. We will be back better than ever. We will announce our new another new segment. We'll also announce our next Billy C's Magic Boxing Machine, all when we come back on February 21st. So until then, I'll leave you with this. Make sure you tune in on that morning, February 21st. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.